thinking of eternity as an idea that cannot be understood, something immense. But why must it be? What if instead of all this, you suddenly find just a little room there, something like a village bathhouse, grimy and spiders in every corner, and that's all eternity is? Sometimes, I can't help feeling that that's what it is. So, hello again. I feel it's been a million years, and I think it's actually been almost 2 months. So I decided to start with this amazing quote from Dostoevsky's Crime and Punishment, um, about this idea of eternity. And what an amazing idea he had there, that what if eternity is just a small little room. Um, yeah, blows my mind that he thought of it that way. What a beautiful way to imagine it. Um, I feel like January lasted forever and it was so intense. I wonder how it was for other people that might be listening to this, if it was as intense and as tedious as mine was. Um, but now we're almost in March, and I'm so looking forward for spring, because I love flowers. So yeah, I'm ready to move on from winter completely in every possible way. Um, I wanted to talk about this idea how the our most feared feelings can be the ones that liberate us most. So, have you ever noticed how sometimes the feeling, the most unpleasant feeling you have within yourself, the one you're trying to run away from all the time, the one you've uh, the one you've spent a lifetime uh, burying underneath an entire life. So you've constructed careers around it, you've constructed identities around it. That feeling I'm talking about. Of course, it's specific for each and every one of us. We fear or we try to escape different things. But universally, I think a lot of people have this sort of feeling deep inside that they're trying to hide from. And a feeling is not a fact, but it feels real, and it feels real on a at a mind level, for the most part unconsciously, until we become aware. It feels real at a body level, so it's an embodied feeling, which is why we use all of our energy to run away from it. So, for instance, one of the feelings, uh, maybe perhaps there are multiple feelings like this for an individual. I'm sure there are. Um, for me, there was at least one of them, and I couldn't believe how liberating it was to accept it. So there was a moment when I felt that really, really hurt me at some point in my early life. And subsequent to that, I felt extremely insignificant, basically, without going into different detailed details. Um, um, so it was a feeling of insignificance and of lacking any worth, basically. And so from that moment on, I carried that with me, and I had that with me for the longest time of my life. And then at some point, I realized that when I accepted that idea, when I accepted that feeling, that uh, that um, I am the most insignificant person on the planet. I mean, I'm exaggerating. I'm only expressing it in an exaggerated way to make a point. Of course, I don't believe I'm the most insignificant or the most of anything, because no one is the absolute of everything or of anything, isn't it? There's no absolute to things. There will always be someone who's more or less than you. So, but I'm just exaggerating for the sake of the argument. So, the moment I accepted the very idea I was running from, the very feeling I was running from, it was the most liberating feeling ever. So it was because all the pressure disappeared. So, well, if that's the case, I don't need to do anything. I don't need to um, fight anymore. I don't need to perform anymore. I don't need to. So if we've already established that I'm insignificant, I can just go on and have fun in my life, basically. So I was thinking about this. I was thinking, how amazing is it that something that we run away from with all of our strength turns out to be our biggest savior at the same time. There was something else that this reminds me of. I guess it was stemming from the same feeling that I needed to. I felt like I needed to achieve things to justify my existence, you know, um, to be worthy of being here. And and life has its funny ways of working. You can willpower your way through a significant amount of things, but at a certain point, if life really wants to help you understand what mm, self-love is, or let's say God's love is, if you believe in God, um life has a way of helping you really see it, really, like, it's putting it in your face for you to just understand. Are you understanding it yet? Are you understanding it yet? So then I started having these situations in my life where, despite my best efforts, things were not aligning. Despite putting in the 1,000% of the work, despite a million percent of grinding, things were not happening, and I just was not able to secure that those achievements that would make me feel worthy of existing. So that really mm, pushed me to become aware of all of this that I've just spoken about, and also confront myself, and I felt defeated in the process. I felt it was painful. I have to say, it was painful to process all of these feelings. Um, but but then I realized, after once I allow myself to be sad, to cry about it, to um, to accept my insignificance. Um, I realized that there was life beyond that. I realized that there came this moment of peace where I had this, all of a sudden, this new embodied feeling where, you know what, if I'm just this these pair of eyes, these two eyes in a black room, like in the cartoons. Sometimes in certain cartoons I've seen it before, and I find it so funny that that's how it connected in my mind. There's like a black room. It's like the room goes dark, as in the lights are off, and then all of a sudden the eyes, like a pair of eyes, appear in the room, and they blink, and they put this blinking sound. So I realized that if all I am is this pair of blinking eyes in a dark room, I'm happy. You know what? This life was worth living, actually. Because, I was here, I saw things, I felt things, I tasted things, because I'm a foodie, so I love to eat, so that always brings me joy. Um, I saw beauty. I experienced all kinds of feelings. It was a rich life, even if I didn't, even if no one ever knew I existed, or even if I didn't achieve anything in my life, and I was a complete failure, or a complete, um, let's say, just a unmanifested potential of a human being. Um, my life was still worth living. I decided that, you know what, I'm happy that I was just this pair of eyes, just blinking for a few moments and taking in all of these experiences, and that's it. And that's a happy life. That's, I'm happy with myself, for just being here, for just seeing things, and that completely took the pressure of having to perform, of that completely disconnected this idea of, oh, I need to deserve my existence on the planet. No, I don't. You don't. It's not. We didn't come on this planet uh to uh to repay, as in we didn't come on a credit on this planet. So, as in, oh, you're only allowed to be on this planet if you're gonna perform, if you're gonna give something back, if you're gonna whatever, discover the next wheel or something, as in reinvent the wheel or discover fire or whatever. No, it's not. It really isn't. And it just took me the longest time to realize that. But for me to really have this embodied uh, understanding, I had to stop running away from the thing that I wanted to run away from most, which was this unpleasant feeling. And I had to just turn around and look at this feeling, and really sit with it, and hold it and understand it, and and it just transformed. I didn't want it to be something else. I didn't want this feeling to be something else. This part of me. I just accepted it the way it was. I didn't I didn't say to it, like, why are you feeling insignificant? What's wrong with you? Blah 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 blah. I just accepted it as, I see you. I understand how you feel, and I'm not running away from you anymore. I'm standing by your side. And there was this thing that stuck with me from one of the books I read. The book is amazing. I recommend it to everyone. Not that anyone ever asks me, but if I were to recommend it, I definitely recommend this book. It's called The Tools. I've referenced it before in a different podcast of mine. Or should I say broadcast of mine? It's The Tools by Phil Stutz and Barry Michaels, I believe is the name of the other author. There was this documentary on Netflix. One of them is a psychiatrist, and was a psychiatrist of therapist of Jonah Hill, I think, one of the Hollywood actors. So that's how I came across this book. And in the book, it gives you basically 5 tools to win at life, so to speak. And one of the tools is basically more or less speaking about this. It's about when you have a fear of speaking in public, or social anxiety, basically. It's to imagine your this is the rough idea, so I apologize if I don't represent the book in a fair way. I want to say the book is way better than I'm able to portray it here. But the general idea of this specific tool that I'm talking about is, so if you have social anxiety, what they advise you to do is imagine your most shameful self. So visualize the version of you that you're most ashamed of. So if you see yourself from that age, from that period of your life, and then when you are performing, imagine yourself staying connected to that person, so that person never leaves your side anymore. It's something along the lines of, anyway. So I thought that was very powerful because it was about accepting yourself in your perceived lowest. Because your perceived lowest is just your perceived lowest. It doesn't mean that people see the same way, but anyway, what matters for your life is your own reality, isn't it? Because it's your own life experience. But I thought that was very powerful, and I always remember that thing from the book. Um, so yeah, I think that's it. I don't know if there was anything else I wanted to add. I'm gonna pause for a second to think if there's anything else, and maybe I'm gonna find another quote, and we're gonna end it here. Okay, so I found two amazing quotes, and also remember this other understanding that I had based on a real life experience that is connected to what I was talking about earlier, which is running from from feelings that scare us, that feel too overwhelming to look at. Um, so, in a real life situation, because yes, I'm a real person with a real life, unexpectedly, I got overwhelmed by this feeling of sadness, and it just came out of nowhere. It was completely atypical of me to feel like that in that particular situation, and with that intensity. But there was no way I would control it. I mean, it just took me by surprise, this overwhelming sadness that I couldn't hold it in. I just it was yeah, it was impressive. And I mean, I was struggling to hold it in basically because I was in a public space. So um and with this sadness, I believe it was something in that situation accessed this old unprocessed feeling of mine, and it unlocked without me being able to control anything. And because it was so old, and I think because it was buried so deep, it was very powerful that I had even a bodily reaction. I felt like my legs were, I couldn't stand anymore. Like my legs were all of a sudden had become jello because of the sadness. I've never felt like that in my life. And at the same time, because I allowed myself to experience to a certain degree that sadness in that moment, I allowed myself to stay present to it, although I had to exert a bit of control because, as I said, I was in a public space, so I couldn't really let myself go completely. But nonetheless, I did stay connected to that feeling enough so I could experience most of it. um, I realized the moment I allowed myself to be in contact, to be safely in contact, if that makes sense, with that feeling, to feel the weakness in my legs, the perceived weakness, because my legs weren't actually weak in that moment, but that weakness in my legs, the, all of it. At the same time, it felt like my heart exploded open, and I just felt exactly the same time whilst I was feeling all of this pain. I felt like I was free, like there was so much space inside of me, so much space that became available, and so much relaxation. So yeah, I just thought that made me understand how much energy we use to hide these parts of us that are hurt, and these feelings that we don't want to, we feel we were not able to deal with. It was amazing, as in, it was amazing to see how spacious I felt inside, and how relaxed my body felt, as a consequence of having shut down the defenses that were keeping the feeling of sadness in. Um, that's it. I hope you enjoy this. Let me read these two quotes from someone called Pema Chodron. She's a Buddhist monk, and I love what she writes about. So the first one goes like this: if someone comes along and shoots an arrow into your heart, it's fruitless to stand there and yell at the person. It would be much better to turn your attention to the fact that there's an arrow in your heart. And the next one is: people get into a heavy duty sin and guilt trip, feeling that things are going wrong. That means that they did something bad and they are being punished. That's not the idea at all. The idea of karma is that you continually get the teachings that you need to open your heart. To the degree that you didn't understand in the past how to stop protecting your soft spot, how to stop armoring your heart, you're given this gift of teachings in the form of your life to give you everything you need to open further. So I think how beautifully does that tie in with uh, what I've shared about my experiences. And I completely, I have to say, I completely agree with what she wrote there, because that's been my experience of things as well. Um, but it's not an easy thing, and you cannot force to open your heart. You cannot force anything in life. So I don't want anyone out there to listen to this and think, oh, okay, let me just make a 10-step plan to open my heart. Uh, I mean, nothing is wrong, nothing is right, but I just don't think it works that way. And I think everything starts with acceptance, with self acceptance, and with acceptance of things as they are in general. And, and it's important to say acceptance does not mean agreement. I want to be very specific on that one. So I can accept that there is someone unpleasant, let's say, um, in my life, but that does not mean that I agree with their behavior. Yeah, like for instance. Um, anyway, um, I am in an existential mood once again in my life, and but yeah, I'm looking forward to see how this magic called life unfolds. And as I said, if nothing else, at least I would have been this pair of eyes in a dark room that just blinked a couple of times and saw life, witnessed life, and felt life, and that's enough for me. That is enough for me to make me happy. Yeah. Um, dream on, guys. And I wish you all the best, and I wish you your hearts to open in their own rhythm, in the rhythm that it feels that that's needed, that's safe. You cannot rush it anyway, but at least if you put an honest intention, if this is something that you feel you're ready to receive in your life, that is to have your heart open more, you can put this intention and life um, will help you navigate that path. And yeah, and I think one last thought is I think it's important to do things for joy's sake, as in just because they make you happy. um so engage in hobbies, activities that have no prospect of future. I think that was a major thing for me as well, something that I recently realized in my life. So I've majority 97.5% of my life I did things because they made sense, because You know, they were gonna go to, they were gonna, end to a final result. But recently, but that has took me to places which were very good, but also to places where I felt like everything is just duty and responsibility. So then I realized I have to do things just because it's fun. There's no end to it, but there at the moment I don't see any, final any outcome of this. There's no purpose. There's no clear thing that I'm chasing with this, but I'm just doing it because it feels interesting and fun and joyful at the moment. So just for the sake of doing it, just for the process of doing it, because it sparks something summary in me, like a summary feeling, a lively feeling, a joyful feeling. Yeah, that's it, everyone. Um, have a lovely have a lovely life. And dream on, and have faith in yourselves and in God if you want to. Or I don't know. No, just have faith in yourselves. I do also have faith in a greater power, but you don't have to, of course. But yeah, I wish you feel love in your life. That's it. Um, yeah. Bye bye.